Hello, Cancer. Thank you so much, as always, you guys, for being here. Okay, Cancer, beautiful cards. So, looking at your first week of December, you pull Love Conquers All, Adventure, and Peaceful Among Thorns. Love Conquers All, this isn't just about choosing love or experiencing love, it's about it being reignited for you. But what's interesting is it takes you on this adventure. And this one is talking about how it may test you a little bit. So, it says this card speaks of a willingness to learn. The spirit of adventure tests both rational and intuitive boundaries and beckons us to boldly step into the realm of uncertainty and risk. So it's like taking a risk on this emotion of love that's going to be reignited for you. But this is something that's worth experiencing, right? Now, Peaceful Among Thorns, this is talking about how the spiritual can't solve the material, but it transcends it. It's talking about how there's this beautiful blend between dealing with the material world and your spirituality, and that bringing peace to you. It's saying that the answer to your problems isn't just spiritual. It's like there's something that needs to be experienced in the physical, and it comes through this like reigniting of love for you. Now, absolutely, it could be about a relationship that comes back through, and you're talking about things being reignited and it being this completely different adventure where there may have been difficulties before, right? Because with Peaceful Among Thorns, it feels like a resolution is happening for you if you've been dealing with difficulties in relationships, right? Like there's this beautiful transcendence that kind of happens. But beautiful cards, though. Whatever is igniting that vibration of love within you, it is worth experiencing. It may test you, but spiritually, I think, your growth there is very important. You're overall the King of Pentacles, so, the man of success, right? This is being focused on success, but this is also about understanding what is worth taking a risk on and what you're willing to invest into. Now, absolutely, we could be talking about a person here. And typically with the King of Pentacles, I look at somebody who is able to provide. But it's in order to, create success, right? So hopefully you're dealing with a person here who's looking for, a successful relationship with you. But, we'll see how this is playing out. So the world being the past, we're talking about closure, the ending of a cycle, not going back to it, right? It's a successful completion for you. Lessons learned, that's it. But typically with this being pulled from the past, it can indicate, needing to find closure or still working on that closure. But we're talking about the end of a cycle in a very beautiful way for you. Interesting. So in the present moment strength, and I immediately want to go here. So inner strength, right? Oh, wow, man. Look at this. This is huge. The Tower and future conditions. Okay. So we have this closure that is happening with the world. And it's pushing you forward, right? Like you need to continue with strength. Because I think that a lot of you know that by ending this, it's going to create like sudden and drastic changes. And I think not just for you, but for people around you. But the Tower, man, this is big. This is drastic change that is happening here. And the feeling that I'm getting from this is that you see the door closing on this cycle. You see the closure coming. And you're holding on to your inner strength to be able to continue this path because you know that the change is going to be drastic and sudden. But there's success with this, with the King of Pentacles being the overall. And it may have to do with you making a very, calculated risk here. And that could be financially, but because we're talking about love, you may be having to go through a situation that is going to completely change your world, right? In order for you to have a different experience in a relationship, so it's like leaving one, going to the next. And this may be for some of you who are like ending relationships that have been going on for a very long time. But for others of you, this closure, it could be anywhere in your life right now where it's coming, you see it. Because you know that you have to pull on your strength to get through. Wow, man. Oh, your best path to follow, the Ten of Cups. That's beautiful, right? So, what does that happily ever after look like for you? But that is the focus. We're finally making all the drastic sudden changes that we have to, and we're finding the strength to go through this because we want this kind of closure, because you want this happily ever after. And you've got the King of Pentacles there, right? This feels like, for some of you, you are looking at a relationship that I think is so different than what you've experienced before. Because how often, do we actually get to that place where we're like, this is finally it. This is finally the happily ever after. Everything you've ever been wanting. Happy home, happy life, happy marriage, happy relationship. But this is where the focus needs to be, right? And this is where there needs to be this success. Now, for some of you, right, this has nothing to do with a relationship. It's all about you making a really drastic change, finding the strength within the present moment to continue on this path, because you know that it's going to give you everything you've ever been wanting. Wow, man. And your environment, the Eight of Swords, interesting. And somebody else had this too. I can't remember who it was now. So, and it would make sense, right, that strength is kind of coming through on this in the present moment. And you knowing the path ahead and knowing the kind of like, I don't want to say destruction, but like the ruckus that it's going to cause. For some of you, there, maybe people that are like stuck in a way of thinking, and I think you're about to completely collapse their world, right? Like, it's weird. I'm getting this feeling of dealing with somebody that thinks, oh yeah, cancer's never going to change, right? They're just going to keep doing the same thing. Oh, no, you're not. And I think that may be a shock to someone in your environment that can't see past their own thoughts. Now, for those of you who are stuck in a situation, it's not that you can't see the way out. It's just, it's not time. That's what I want to say. It's like you realize that you're going to have to continue to kind of deal with this for a little bit longer. But things are going to change in a way that's going to be disruptive. But you already know that that's coming. I keep getting that, because you're coming in with the world here, right? But this isn't just about like in knowing and intuitive knowing. This is a purpose. This is ending something that's been standing in your life for a very long time. Lessons been learned, done with that. And I'm holding in there. I'm looking at the kitten hanging on to, the wire, like I'm hanging in there, baby. But the people that are around you, I don't think are capable of this kind of change or handling this type of change. Okay, so your hopes and your fears, the Ace of Swords, this is where the truth comes out. And again, there's this kind of feeling of people being trapped in their own kind of thoughts and it keeping you stuck in a situation. But, you're already kind of like closing the cycle out here, right? And it's going to disrupt things. This is fearing how the truth is going to be perceived. But this is also, hoping that this is a new beginning for everybody to fully and completely understand where you are coming from. Right? Here is the clarity and the truth. And this is your new beginning. And it may be that, somebody around you isn't aware of this because they're choosing not to see it, right? There's still this feeling of cancer is not going to change. But boy, oh boy, somebody's in for a shock. I think that this is going to be for those of you who are getting ready to finally come out with what has been going on. And, it's all in order for you to finally be happy, to really, really be happy. Like, I love the disruption that's taking place because I feel like you're responsible for it. But here's the thing. The tower has to come down because it is built on a false foundation. It can't stand in your life anymore, especially if it's been keeping you stuck. But this is, let me just make sure that everybody understands where I'm coming from now. And there's this like power move that I'm feeling like behind this. But, going back to your oracle cards, I almost feel like it's because of love being reignited within you. Just the vibration itself is enough for the closure of a long-standing cycle. And, you're hanging in there right now. But man, things are going to change, and they're going to change abruptly. But all that matters is you and your happiness, right? But this is like, somebody's going to get the dose of truth. And, oh God, with the Seven of Swords coming out, right? Like, this is where I think some of you are going to finally bring out this kind of like truth of like, I know what has been going on behind my back. But your success lies within, your ability here to create this like big change, and all for, your happiness here. But the Seven of Swords are talking about, this deception. And with the Ace of Swords, I think you already knew. And this is you kind of like, yeah, like I know, but let me give you a little bit of my own truth. And I wonder if, you're tired of being stuck in a situation where somebody thinks they can just get away with whatever. And this is where, the whole thing kind of falls apart, where they may be thinking that you're never going to change. You're just going to keep going along with it. Like, but actually, no. The Six of Swords, yeah. The Ten of Wands. Okay, so that would explain why there's this kind of like needing to find inner strength. And then the Star. And with the Tower, yeah, that's exactly what you want to see. After the dust of the Tower settles, you start to see the bigger picture. And you're talking about hope. Not just love, but hope. And emotional balance that's happening here, right? Like, this is the bigger hope, the bigger dream, seeing something that's more in tune with your own higher purpose. Like, that's how I feel about the Star here. But the Six of Swords, right? And with the World. We're done with this. We're done with the difficulty that is, pushing you to want to move to a calmer situation. But it's like before that can happen, things have to be completely destroyed. But that's because of the deception that you've been dealing with and what you feel like is being taken from you, from people who think they can just keep getting away from it, getting away with it. Let me slow down. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be for all of you, but clarity absolutely is going to be coming out. And this understanding of, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to pull. I know what you have been doing. You're hanging in there right now because, you know, there's this, like, I feel like there's a knowing and an understanding of what is necessary for you to be able to move away from this, right? The Ten of Wands, burdens that you're dealing with. These are the things that you're trying to move away from, but it's like, but there's a couple of things that have to happen first before you're ready to completely let go of the situation. And that may be where the stuck feeling is coming through. But we're talking about, again, the ending, right? And then the Star. It's such a beautiful reading, even though there's this, you know, difficult stuff that's going on here. This too, I think, is where this whole, you know, peaceful among thorns is coming through. Even with this kind of like destruction of the tower, but drastic and sudden, right? But I don't think that it's about you experiencing that. I think somebody else is going to get a reality check. Because I can't get past this, you know, looking at the outside, looking at you, it's almost like Cancer is not going to change. They're just going to keep putting up with it. Little do they know. Expansion. Integration makes sense. And then magic. Beautiful. It's beautiful. So, you know, and again, right, like the Ten of Cups. What is your happily ever after? What does that look like? So expansion, there is a part of your life that needs to expand, but clearly with the Eight of Swords, there is this constriction. But in order for expansion to happen, there has to be this integration of this situation in a way where it's not blocking your ability to experience magic and beauty in life. And this is all, I feel like, coming from this feeling of love being reignited within you. However that vibration is coming to you, holy shit, man. It's changing things in a really, really big way for you. But you're doing this. I love when I have readings where the Tower is representing not something happening to you, but you affecting that kind of change, because we're tired of the fake. We're tired of the false. It can't keep going anymore, right? Work through your fears. And communication is key. And I think that what this is saying is because of, you know, the Ace of Swords being in your hopes and fears, right? When it comes to your communication, I think it's important that the focus is on the truth and nothing but the truth. Because you kind of like, when we get into conversations where we need to express our truth to somebody, there are tendencies to move into an emotional place. And when that happens, then the clarity of the situation kind of gets lost. And that opens the door for this back and forth about, you know, whether or not somebody is understanding how you're feeling. That isn't the point in this. And I think that that's what's being pointed out here. The point is making sure that truth is known. But the way that you communicate it is also going to be important. But wow, man, right? Like, what you're coming in with is like this stoicism and understanding now that this can't continue anymore. But it's up to you, right? Like, you are the one ultimately here that has the ability to create the success that you're wanting to see. That's going to lead you to that long-lasting feeling of love and this happily ever after, and not this kind of like, you know, let's see what I can get away with type of energy.